Some people think that money is the root of all evil, citing vast acts of self-harm perpetrated by humans as proof. Others argue that, rather than money being the root of all evil, it is a lack of money that pushes people to sacrifice their ideals in order to make ends meet. However, although many impoverished people are kind and helpful, those who have more than enough nonetheless behave selfishly and unethically. Hello everyone, welcome to Wealthy Wisdom. In this video, we're going to talk about can you buy happiness with money? If you're new to this channel, do like and subscribe to the channel. People and money seem to be inextricably linked. Some individuals feel that happiness cannot be bought since it must come from inside or from non-monetary sources such as love, friendship, inner serenity, and a sense of purpose. Others argue that it is possible to buy pleasure since money may be used to acquire fantastic experiences, such as overseas travel or participation in festivals and concerts. Furthermore, if you have enough money, you may retire and live stress-free rather than having to work and fight to make ends meet. It should come as no surprise that the question, can you buy happiness with money, often leads to extensive disputes with no good conclusions. Nonetheless, money is the engine that propels the world. Except for a small percentage, everyone needs money to live. However, there are differences in how we view money and value it. Some individuals are perpetually broke, while others are persistently extravagant. Some individuals are content to make a small wage and live an austere lifestyle, while others have millions and live lavishly, only craving more. As a result, it seems that your degree of happiness has little to do with your financial condition. But does this mean that you can't buy happiness with money? No, not all the time. According to research and the views of some philosophers such as Epicurus and Schopenhauer, money can buy happiness, you just have to know how to spend it. Everything in life has a price. From essentials like food and water to incredibly extravagant items like a Rolex at $17 million. However, not all purchases are worth it in terms of happiness, since more are prohibitively expensive in proportion to the genuine joy they bring. To make the best purchases, we need to consider Epicurus' philosophy of pleasure. This Greek philosopher distinguished between real and selfish desires, which we discussed in more depth in the video, The Philosophy of Pleasure. Epicurus distinguishes between natural needs that must be satisfied and those that do not. Natural demands that people must satisfy in order to exist include hunger, thirst, and the desire for relaxation and sleep. We naturally seek things like luxury meals, plenty of friends, and sexual adventures, even if we don't need them to survive. But empty desires aren't natural, and we don't need them to survive. Who would want a Rolex for $17 million, for example? This want is not a natural desire, rather it is an opinion. Buy happiness with money through purchasing expensive watches, most likely owing to clever marketing or the opinion of others in our social circles. Furthermore, unlike hunger or thirst, the need for expensive objects can never be satisfied. We quickly feel bored after spending a lot of money on something we don't need. Such pleasures have no natural limit, so when we experience them, we often find ourselves desiring more. A person who requires such expensive objects confronts a tough path of constant anxiety as a result of his or her fear of losing them, disappointment at not receiving what they want, and the stress and effort necessary to satisfy their demands. The person who amasses enormous wealth also makes himself a target. Epicurus believed that pleasure might be obtained without the use of selfish desires, but we must give in to our natural desires. In comparison to most silly pleasures, those that fulfill these desires are cheap and easy to get. How many meals and hydration beverages can $17 million buy? Possibly much more than we would ever need. Epicurus stated, natural wealth is limited and easily obtained. The wealth defined by vain fancies is always beyond reach, end quote. Even though the $17 million Rolex is an extreme example, Epicurus' fundamental premise is that pleasure comes from meeting one's necessities rather than collecting more riches, and that the best way to keep one's demands fulfilled is to make them modest and easy to please. Giving in to illogical desires for pleasure is therefore not a good line of action, since the squeeze just isn't worth the juice. A Harvard study also stated that buying multiple little pleasures was superior to buying a few larger ones. One of life's greatest stresses is the need for money, and for most people, but money comes from working. However, if you have enough money, You will not need to work and will be liberated from the pressure of needing to find employment. Even if we followed Epicurus' principles, we would still need to work and exchange our time and bodies for a livelihood. Not that there's anything inherently wrong with it. Many people happily work for compensation since it allows them to pay their bills, but what they want and engage in recreational activities. Others, on the other hand, find it difficult to give up a significant portion of their time and effort for monetary compensation. They'd rather do anything else with their time, such as studying philosophy or creating art. These folks would rather purchase his time than waste it on frivolous activities. Like Epicurus, the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer distinguishes between many forms of pleasure. He referred to these small pleasures as movements of the will, and they include card games, horse racing, travel, and other forms of sensory stimulation. But he also thought about the highest mental pleasures, like thinking, observing, meditating, listening to or reading music or poetry, studying, reading, coming up with new ideas, thinking about philosophy, and other similar things. It takes little money or physical effort to achieve this inner peace. However, the one asset necessary to indulge in the ultimate delight is time. I quote, "The man of inner wealth wants nothing from outside but the negative gift of undisturbed leisure, to develop and mature his intellectual faculties, that is, to enjoy his wealth. In short, he wants permission to be himself, his whole life long, every day and every hour." End quote. Purchasing time is a sensible investment for everyone who values leisure time for material stuff, not only intellectuals. Buying time with money is associated with a greater quality of life, according to a survey conducted by scientists at the University of British Columbia. For example, we may buy time by hiring a cleaning service or a chef. In certain cases, we acquire enough wealth to compensate for the pain of having to work. We might, for example, outsource the work necessary to generate income or live off investments. In current parlance, this is referred to as financial independence. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Let's continue to tackle, can you buy happiness with money? Being financially free means having enough money to live your life your way without being extremely affluent. Money allows us to live a life that allows us to devote the bulk of our time to intellectual pursuits of Epicurus' simple pleasures. Frugality is essential for many, if not the majority, of people who want to save enough money to retire and keep their required capital. The easier it is to reach financial independence, the less money we need and the less money we spend. Schopenhauer also suggested not wasting our riches as soon as we earn them, but rather using them to protect ourselves in potentially perilous circumstances. I quote, "If a man has independent fortune, he should regard it as a bulwark against the many evils and misfortunes which he may encounter. He should not look upon it as giving him leave to get what pleasure he can out of the world, or as rendering it incumbent upon him to spend it in this way. Assume that, regardless of your circumstances, you have a budget that you can spend. What is the best way to put it to use? It is better to spend your money on real products and go shopping. Or are there more gratifying ways to spend it? Of course, you have complete control over how you spend your money. However, studies show that spending money on experiences rather than things would make you happy in the long run. Dijksterhuis, a Dutch professor and author of multiple books on happiness, discovered that spending money on experiences such as travel makes people happy. Dr. Thomas Gilovich, a psychology professor, conducted a 20-year study that revealed that doing rather than possessing makes individuals happy. In a Forbes article, Gilovich presents 3 reasons why material possessions do not make individuals happier than experiences. The first reason is that we adapt quickly to new things. Buying a new vehicle, for example, may be exciting at first, but the novelty soon wears off and owning the car becomes normal. Second, we are always raising the bar. We'll look for a better car once we've become used to our current one. So, obtaining stuff from the outside world only makes us happy for a brief period of time. We previously desired and anticipated losing its ability to make us joyful. Hence, Epicurus once stated, "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you now have was once among the things you only hope for." End quote. Gilovich contends that there are third-party parallels. People often compare their goods to those of others. When your friend buys a better car, the value of your new vehicle may decline, prompting you to contemplate an upgrade. The paradox of possessions myth claims that possessing something is more satisfying in the long term than experiencing something because it is more lasting and solid. Why are experiences more enjoyable investments than monetary items? Things like TVs, autos, and houses, in contrast to experiences like traveling or attending a performance, only last a limited period. According to study, experiences provide longer-lasting satisfaction. The anticipation, the purchase, the event itself, and the lifetime memories we make all contribute to the joy of the experience. Material items may be taken away, but experiences become a part of your identity. Furthermore, we cannot compare experiences the same way we compare items. Because experiences are subjective and one-of-a-kind, determining their worth may be difficult. Then, our own experiences will not be readily minimized by those of others. In addition to buying time and experiences, spending money to make other people happy is another method to purchase pleasure. Giving is an important part of many religious systems. For example, in Christianity, kindness is recognized as one of the 7 heavenly attributes. Thus, it is not surprising that many charities have Christian roots. The Islamic counterpart of almsgiving is seen as a religious obligation for all Muslims and is one of Islam's 5 pillars, or fundamental religious principles. In Theravada Buddhism, one of the 10 perfections or noble qualities one cultivates on the Buddhist path is generosity, also known as DNA. Regardless of our religious and spiritual aspirations and values, contributing has a positive influence on how we feel. According to Professor Elizabeth Dunn's study at the University of British Columbia, giving to charity organizations makes us happier overall. However, there is a catch. Dunn said in an interview with Boston University Radio that our degree of enjoyment is controlled by both the act of giving and the manner in which we give. According to her, a few essential components are required to translate good deeds into pleasurable experiences. I quote, "The first one is connection. We are more likely to experience joy from helping others if we really feel connected with the people or the cause that we're helping. Second one is impact. If we can see the difference that our good deeds are making, that seems to really unlock the emotional benefits of generosity. And finally, there's choice. The quickest way to strip the joy of giving away is to make people feel like they've been forced to give." End quote. We will be happier overall if we contribute our money to organizations that make us feel connected to and pleased. Giving offers both short and long-term benefits, according to Mara van der Molen, a postdoctoral researcher at Leiden University. I quote, "In the short term, this gives us a positive feeling. In the scientific world, it's known as the warm glow of giving. It has benefits in the longer term too, because it strengthens the relationship with the recipient. And if you have a close bond with someone, they will be more likely to help you if you get into difficulties sometime in the future." End quote. She also mentions research that indicates being generous helps people like you more and that having a lot of friends makes you happier than feeling lonely. Giving, on the other hand, has varying impacts on people's happiness depending on who you ask. Some people just dislike giving presents to others. Variables such as personality, upbringing, and family traditions may contribute to this. To summarize, pleasure may be bought if money is used wisely. Simple pleasures, time, fun, activities, and other people seem to be the ideal places to spend money. We've reached the end of another video and thank you for watching. I hope you have learned, can you buy happiness with money? If you like this video, do give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below. Thank you and goodbye.